fucking studio.
Zoom, 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 doom, 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 doom. Tuning in, tuning in, tuning in. We're in the studio. I'm gonna wait it. I'll wait till you're done with that. No, as like that, like just like the clip of that.
I don't know, like, I mean, I recorded it.
Oh, like you doing that?
What if, like, Los uses that for, like, a tag?
I'm in the fucking studio.
Fucking studio!
That'd be hilarious.
Welcome back, Daniel.
Zoom, 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 zoom. Zoom, 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 zoom. Tuning in.
Escape reality
Pew, pew. Tuning in.
podcast.
This is fine and dandy.
Dandy fine.
Tuning in. 330 Studios.
330 Productions.
We'd like to start off with our advertisements. Just kidding. We still don't have any.
Brought to you by us, broke boys with a mission.
Bang, pow. Welcome back. Glad to have you. Glad to be here.
Gonna reach for your coffee and not grab it like
Yeah.
4 times.
I was going for it. What is it? Good day, good week, good year. Or good.
Forgot month.
What
but
Jim
I mean,
Carrey used
I
to say was like, goodbye, good something. I don't remember. I'm really bad at that.
I don't remember either, but
don't
all
either.
right.
Hey, shout out to Texas. We'll start off with that. How about that?
Go Greg Abbott.
Full throttle, no all gas, no brakes for sure on that one.
You can't hear the sarcasm in my voice. It's there, I promise. But this is a bad thing.
It's interesting thing.
Bro, we were
But what I just want to know, like, it's like this man said, "Oh, vaccines are out. Look, let's just cut the shit
Let's cut the shit. Let's go 100% full throttle.
all the way."
What was funny for me was we were at Flippers, a seafood restaurant here in Dickinson. We were eating our meal nicely, you know what I mean, just in trying to enjoy ourselves. And across the restaurant, out of nowhere, we hear this man scream out, "Booyah! Yeah!" And our friend Carlos sarcastically and jokingly like screamed out like, "Hell yeah! Go, brother! Hell yeah!" Not knowing what the guy was booyahing about. And so right after Los encountered and like participated with this interaction across the restaurant, making like it seem like he was on this guy's team, this guy starts screaming out, "No more mask! Yeah! Fuck yeah!" And then immediately rips his mask off his face and throws it on the ground.
What?
Yes. And then whenever it obviously says on whatever he was reading that it doesn't start until March 10th, but he immediately threw his shit on the ground and Los was like, "Fuck, I did not want to participate in a no mask cheer. I just participated to be sarcastic and make fun of the guy for fucking screaming booyah in a restaurant, but I just participated in this and now I'm a part of it. Fuck."
I mean, it's already weird, the whole booyah. What are you, fucking Ron from Kim Possible?
It was
But-
hilarious.
Second of all, the fact that he had to display his, like, stance and all this by ripping his mask off, literally, like, taking a ripping it off and throwing it on the ground.
I wouldn't say that he was singled out though. Like even some of the servers were like taking their masks off as
What?
They thought they thought it was like right then, and like there was our server was like an elderly woman. She took her shit right off, and we're like, oh wait,
Ma'am, could you put that back on, please? I did not sign up for this when I walked in.
I thought we had a company policy going on. I don't know what's going on here, but
Like, did your boss tell you to take that off? You're just
yeah, speak to a manager.
making your own judgments at that point. Woo! That's just funny. The whole, like, I just imagine the whole staff just one by one taking their masks off. You're just, what's happening here? I don't know. It's kind of funny. My girlfriend was saying how she's like, I feel like there's a lot more cars on the road. I'm like, probably. People were like, woo! Taxis! But I will say there's a lot more assholes on the road, man. I was at least just twice in the past 2 days. Instantly, the light has turned green. You know, right when it turns green. I'm like, what do you want me to do? There's a car in front of me. Please, you enlighten me what your idea of what I should do is here.
Oh, motherfucker!
Like, I'm just,
All right.
And then I almost got hit yesterday. Someone's like trying to discipline their child in the passenger seat. It's not a small child either. Like, I can see through the back window. It's like a 13-year-old, 14-year-old child. He might be 16. It's a bigger kid. You know what I mean? Like she's over there leaning over, trying to discipline him. Like first of all, they pull out in front of another car already, almost wrecking. I was like, oh my God, they are driving terribly. And then as soon as I say that, they try to swerve into my lane. I'm like, oh my God. It's like, let's just take a break, take some deep breaths. And I look and like over there, just like trying to get to the kid in the passenger seat. I'm like, all right, look, I get where, you can want to discipline your
There's time
child.
and place for everything.
That's what wait till you get home.
Nah,
I enjoy my
definitely.
life. I feel bad for the kid, but that's not my problem right now. My problem is I have a dog in the car, and we're trying to get to where we're going safely.
You guys are not trying to allow that. No, definitely some poor drivers in Houston, in the Houston area.
Like they
in
let
the
anyone
greater
get
Houston
license.
area.
I think what it is
It is for sure.
is they have the like at-home driving test, and your parents just have to sign off on a log, and then you just take
Every
like
time I see that, like if somebody that driving like that, I'm like, I think of like SpongeBob and how like this person probably was like a SpongeBob and like failed their driving test so many times that the person like Mrs. Puff was like, "Fuck it, just take it and get the fuck out of my school" type
I
shit.
feel because look on TV you would always see like the driving test. You'd have to get on the freeway or something, right?
Our driving test was simple as shit.
It was around the block.
It was around the block.
Stop
and
at a stop sign.
Stop at a stop sign. Don't go over the speed limit. Which it was near
Blinker.
a fucking college, so it was like literally right across the street from a college. So the speed limit was 20. As long as you went 15 to 18 miles per hour during your driver test, didn't hit anything on your fucking parallel park, and fucking know how to stop at a stop sign, you can have a fucking license according to the state of Texas.
I think I heard recently they got rid of the parallel park. Like if you're on Texas City at DPS there, you're literally going around the block. It's
They
just
don't do the parallel park anymore.
I don't think so. I'm not 100%.
Dude, what the fuck? I mean, don't get me wrong. A lot of people that pass their parallel park and their driving test still don't know how to parallel park. But like to not even require it on the driving test.
At that point, it's like you didn't test anyone on anything on that driving test. They like, you don't know if they can get in lanes on the freeway. Like you don't know if they know how to merge. It's just literally, all right, take a right onto this street, stop at this stop sign, and they wait for you to use your blinker. All right, take a left. Like, it's like you're back at the fucking testing site. You're like, all right, pull in.
No, it's literally like 4 rights. No, 3 rights.
Something like that.
It's 4 rights. Cause you like pull out of the fucking DPS and you go to the stop sign. You take a right. You go down to this like little neighborhood area. You take a right and go through that. It takes you back to the feeder. And you take that right, and then you take a right at the light, and then it takes you right back to the DPS.
I remember I did the whole thing. Like I nailed it. You know what I mean? I was like, yeah. Pull into the back into the DPS, like to park, and I literally when I'm pulling into the parking spot, I hit the how there's the little like
The curb.
the block thing, or it might have been the curb
Oh,
one
you're talking about the parking
thing.
spot in front
Regardless,
of you thing?
either way, I straight just did not brake. Did not estimate properly. It's literally the last
hit
stretch.
that shit?
It's the last stretch. It's like the final. This is the end of
You're
it.
Parking.
It's the least hard part of the whole thing. Just
Oh my
boom,
God.
and then he looks over. He's like, "You're good. You did good enough to pass." Like
He's
basically, like
don't panic. It's gonna be okay.
you did good enough to pass already. You're fine.
Funny as
I was
fuck.
like,
no, but the whole time, whenever I did my test, I was thinking, I was like, damn, y'all don't even test people on left turns. Like we just like eliminating the entirety of a left turn
It's like-
out of this test.
It's exactly like that SpongeBob episode. He's like, has the voice in his head, and his voice,
Patrick in his
yeah,
head?
Patrick in his head. Turn right, blinker. Like he just has like one thigh. He's like, what?
Nah, I don't know, bro.
Cheating,
Cheating. I'm a cheater.
cheater.
No, you're doing all right. No, you're doing
I'm a
I'm
cheater. Oh, SpongeBob's undefeated. One of the best things, best shows.
For
Put it
sure.
in the bag. He said, "You're facing the wrong, sir."
Nah.
Nah. Put it in. Oh, It's a SpongeBob episode for everything. I think honestly, you could probably tell like a story about your life through SpongeBob pictures and or clips.
Yeah.
Like there's probably a SpongeBob clip for every mood.
Every action, every event.
Believe it. I honestly go back to the days of the internet where SpongeBob was running like the memes for like months. Do you remember they had like the calendar? It was like
Yeah.
January SpongeBob meme of the
Yeah.
month, and then
Remember
everyone
that.
would do it. I think that was like the first time when you start to see people overplay like memes and shit. Like more,
It's one
it
of,
wasn't
like,
as big
for
then.
sure SpongeBob was one of like the cornerstones for like the meme creation. Like
Well-
there's a few like that you can like throw in there, like the crying Jordan meme or the all the SpongeBob ones, or what's the memes with like the stick figures, you know what I'm talking
It's like the comic strip type of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's like now everyone pay. It's like you see like the same thing. After the 10th one, you're like, all right, look, can we just like,
about? Right.
it's like it was funny maybe like the first 2 times. Now it's just I get it. You wanted to get yours in, but let's just stop.
But honestly, like I've
You
heard
had to be
I've
there.
heard a couple like people say this before, but like it's kind of true. It's like meme comedy is kind of like
Hieroglyphics.
not well. You,
I heard that. Someone said that
but
too.
I was just
I
saying
don't know.
like it's like a new form, like art form of comedy though. Like meme culture is kind of like an art form of like comedy like circles, like in what you would used to have like what's it called, like in the newspaper, the little like comic strips and stuff like that for comedic relief and stuff like that. You kind of have now, just like through your phone line, and they have captions with them and things like that. It's kind of like anybody can be a comedian through a meme culture type shit, but some people like kind of like make it type, like, you know what I mean, like
Yeah,
there's
like
only
that's.
certain viral like memes, you know.
Some people
People
take,
make memes every day,
but some people take.
just like in the same way people probably go up and do comedy sets every day, but only certain people get talented.
Some people take their craft very seriously and like meme. It's funny 'cause it's like a
It's a
meme, but like
meme,
some
that's what
people take that shit.
that's what they're saying, is like you could actually make like a living off of like meme comedy kind of nowadays if you're actually talented.
It's kind of funny though, 'cause like back whenever you know, like first getting on like Reddit and stuff. You know, that was what maybe like 10 years ago now, a little over 10 years ago, probably over 10 years ago. Getting on Reddit, there used to be a subreddit called R Cringe, right? And you'd have like a bunch of memes and shit like that, right? One of the biggest ones, they ended up banning it because it would just ended up being such like a shitty, like it was really cringy, like the posts were, but they were just like so overused. It was like a really overused meme. They're called 4 panels. So like it'd be like, you know, like one little panel, 2 panels on the side, like so basically like 4 little cuts, right? Ups.
Window pane.
And it'd be like it'd be pictures of people, right? It's like the emo type people basically being like, you know, the eyes covered, like I can't see anything without you, like type,
Oh
like
my
just
God.
really cringy, just 4 panels, and they were always super shitty. Like they're all terrible. None of them were good, but that's what made them like special. That's what really gave them like the depth.
Oh my god.
But then our cringe ended up saying like, all right, we're tired of seeing this shit. Like we get it. Like it's gonna be a banger almost every time, but it's like it's getting. We're
enough of it.
Yeah, like it's because people were just over flooding it.
Become original or something.
Yeah, like people were just over flooding like the whole like subreddit with the 4 panels. And don't get me wrong, they were funny, but it's just like, all right, we need some more content.
That's all y'all got type shit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was like the birth of not the birth, but Reddit really did pave the way for a lot of things. I feel like Reddit doesn't get it gets credit, but it doesn't get enough credit. Like people think Twitter is like the originator of like so much shit.
I don't know anybody like that really thinks that, because I mean like that's just like where I'm at is that like most of the shit that's on Twitter is just like conversational mostly. Like it's just like what's on your mind right then, right there, right there. But like that shit came from somewhere else, unless you were like drawing something or writing something or creating something on your computer and posting that like as an original piece. Like usually that shit's coming from somewhere else, whether it be like a article or a video or a picture or painting. Probably not yours. If it is, then that's cool. But if it is, you're probably not going to Twitter with it. You're probably going to Facebook or, like you said, Reddit or something else that's more like a platform to be able to like show off your creation.
I say this, Reddit does have some like circulated like images you'll find other places, but I'd say like when you get on Facebook, Instagram, like Twitter, it's a lot of the same like it's like one viral thing, and then everyone else like a page will post it on everything else basically. You know what I
Right.
mean? You'll see it like every. It's kind
But
of weird how it
but
is.
like I feel like these other like apps are becoming more like Reddit in the way that Reddit has subreddits. These other places are like you have like now like night like after hours Twitter or like
Twitter is,
soccer Twitter or like EDM Twitter or like things like that. You know what I mean?
but Twitter's starting to do it. It's like
That's what I was saying. Like
it
these
like
other apps are starting to take what Reddit has and like kind of implement it into the business that they've already created for
I remember I was
themselves.
talking to you about that a long time ago too. I was like, yo, Twitter. If Twitter starts to do that, it'll definitely take a whole
It'll
new
change the
like.
game.
Yeah, it will. But I'm starting to see like
See, but like Twitter's just really like at this point unoriginal, just like trying to they like keep up, like in the way that they just did like the fleet stuff, like it's like having a story on Snapchat, and they're now doing this stuff like Reddit. There's now what's it called? They've always kind of done like the groups and stuff like that for you to like put yourself in and stuff like that. It's like none of that shit was like Twitter owned or Twitter like like the company like created anything. It was all like, hey, look, they're going crazy over there with that. Let's implement it with our shit so we can keep our shit going too through whatever. It's just smart, but it's just like
I saw this thing recently and a while back Gary Vaynerchuk. I'm sure you know Gary V,
Gary
of
V.
course. I'm sure like everyone knows Gary V at this point. Fucking, it's impossible almost not to know if you have a computer. But he was basically saying it was on his Hot Ones interview actually. He was talking about like how Facebook's a mirror, but like Twitter is kind of like that now. It's crazy because it's like based off of your likes, your retweets, like your searches, right? You'll pretty much get like it'll create an algorithm. The AI will create an algorithm, so you'll just start to see like basically things that you like.
right.
So it's what they call not just a mirror, but you're like stuck in like your own little box essentially. Like your own reality.
You
You're stuck in
created
a bubble.
like a universe for yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's why like, if you're on Facebook and you're like anti-mask or really hardcore conservative, you're gonna see just a Fox News post. You're gonna see a lot of like America Pride. You're gonna
Right.
see like a lot of gun type of videos and stuff. A lot more of those are gonna pop up in your like eyesight and
Well,
your
there was
vision to
something
see.
interesting that I heard on Rogan's podcast. It was talking about like how it's not like necessary. Like people think that like the government's paying attention to like your searches and this and that, and like it's becoming an algorithm that like, and so that's why you're being shown all this shit. But it's like it's not necessarily like it doesn't necessarily have to be like a malicious thing. Like maybe you're the one doing it type shit. That's kind of what you're talking about.
Yeah,
You're putting it yourself in it, but people don't look at it that way. People look at it like, why am I seeing all this Black Lives Matter and fucking Blue Lives Matter shit all over my Twitter line whenever I don't necessarily believe in that or I don't necessarily follow that or whatever it is. It's just like, well, maybe because you're so invest, like whenever you click on something or you invest time in something, like the algorithm learns that. So like you're being shown this because in your past you have gone down rabbit holes into this thing, and even if you don't believe in it because you did at that point, you're being shown more of it now. And people don't necessarily think about it that way. People think that it's like a malicious thing. Why am I being shown like all these videos of like cops getting shot on Twitter? I don't like that. And it's just like, well, I mean, you watched a couple videos of cops shooting people back in the Gap, so I mean that's Twitter seeing that you want to see political videos like this, so therefore they're gonna show you more.
it is kind of crazy though.
It's weird, but it's not like
I like it a
it's
little
not
bit.
necessarily malicious. What I'm saying, it can be if you create a malicious environment for yourself, but it's not necessarily that.
I kind of like it though, 'cause it's like the other day I was like diving into crypto and like, NFTs and stuff like that, and then now like on my like search, like on Apple or on your iPhones, if you swipe over, it has like the new,
Spotlight search.
like the new, yeah, and stuff like that.
That's not new.
Yeah, not new. I was saying like, but like recently, so like I was looking at cryptocurrencies and NFTs, and basically like searches for that would come up. You know what I mean? Or like I'll have like a news like, I was looking up Infinity Train the other day. Like, is there gonna be a continuation? It'll be like, oh, like I get updated now. Like, oh, Infinity Train just renewed for a new season. I look up Rick and Morty. That shows up on my news feed too. What are like some theories and just random shit. You know what I mean? But I like it because then now it's like it's stuff kind of like more like
The shit-
tailored to what I like
The
and
shit that I don't
want-
like is how I'll ride with a friend to a place. Like, say we're going out to eat and you drive. My phone at some point during the dinner will tell me a maps notification of where my car is at.
yeah, your location.
No, not my car's location. It'll tell me my car is at Pecan Street and fucking
Your phone does it?
yes.
Is it connected to something?
No, that's what I'm saying. My car doesn't have any GPS in it at all. And if it does, it's not connected to my phone. So it's super weird. I don't like that shit. That's the shit I don't like about like this like new
Have you ever
technology.
connected like Bluetooth or anything like that?
I don't have that in my car.
That's interesting.
I only have an aux cord.
I wondered.
I don't have anything Bluetooth in my car.
So it tells you your car is at.
It tells me where my car is. Or it tells me like so if this has happened before, I've driven to my dad's house before, left my car there and went to Houston with my brother to go out drinking. And at some point in the night, it'll tell me where my car is. It'll tell me it's at my dad's house, which I'm not usually at my dad's house. So if you want to say it goes off of like base like where you last were or like whether this or that, it's like I'm not usually there. I just dropped my car off. I was there for 5 seconds. Dropped my car off, got in the car, left. How did you know my fucking car is there? I don't have no GPS in my shit. That's so fucking weird. And it's not in so like even if I did have GPS in my shit, what's weird is that like I said, I've never connected my any of that shit. Especially
So it's just like, how does it know what your car is then? Or
exactly.
Like,
That's what I'm saying. So that's the shit that I'm worried. People worried about like the shit they're doing to themselves. I'm worried about like how the fuck do you know where my non-GPS car is at?
But bro, they're gonna put a microchip in you with the vaccine.
It's in your phone already.
Yeah, it's like bro, they
In
already
your wallet and your credit card.
your information's already there. It's
Yeah.
like, oh man, it's funny. People really be like, what are the chances of shit like that happening? It's like all the shit we probably already thought of. It's like already here. Like it's like we're already living in it. Whatever.
At the end of the day, like they could have put a chip in you at any point, like during the point of like your birth and your parents getting to see you for the first time, like after you're cleaned up and stuff. Like
I feel like that would be more like
that would be more likely of like when they're gonna like put a chip in you at any point. It'd be like the less like nobody would know about it except for the person administering it and the person overseeing. Nobody, you wouldn't have to tell the parents. You know what I mean? Like it would be a simple procedure. I mean, maybe not extremely simple. With modern technology, it would definitely be.
maybe that's why birds are so expensive in America. Ooh.
Maybe that's why people like
'Cause they're
have
like-
at-home births, so they don't government in their children.
And they're saving money because it's like, all right, here's your baby, $4,000 for having that. You should have thought twice.
Dude,
It's like you want to hold your baby. It's important to the baby's well-being, but it's gonna be another $200. It's like, well, I do love my baby, but I kind of need that money. You can hold on to him. Pretend that you're the mom, really.
Can you breastfeed?
It's like,
Nah, I don't know, dude. It's really interesting, like the way that how much it costs to come into the world and how much it costs to exit it. It's like, I just.
bro, like you're never free. You're never free from that shit. It's like I'm free as you die, and then there's like your partner or your parents or whatever family closest to you.
Think about being a mother and having to endure 9 months of fucking like, pregnancy, the pain of childbirth, and like being rolled out of the hospital. And they're like, "Wait, ma'am, you have a $4,200 bill right here for you. If you'd like to sign here and here and here, we'll go ahead and bankrupt you real quick, and then we'll be on our way."
You're like walking out the door, like you're like she's in the wheelchair, like you know what I mean. You're pushing out your wife, whatever, and then it's like, ma'am,
Emergency!
you forgot to pay.
You forgot to pay.
Like you went through all that shit, like you just gave birth, like screaming at you, come back. No, do you ever see the SpongeBob episode with Mr. Krabs where they're like, he's poor, and then like just
They
push
roll
him,
him
they
out.
roll him out of the
They
bucket.
said, "Oh my God, doctor!" They said, "What is it, nurse?" I said, "This man has no insurance." He said, "Lost cause." Pushed him out the
Like
fucking
tumbled out
yeah,
of the
down the
hospital.
mountain.
Yeah, it's like shit. Like
It's just funny.
it's not that far off, but
It's Kind of true.
It's kind of tough on that one. That's a real tough one. It's not that far. I mean, like this one's gonna be harsh, but it's like for some people, like I could have a baby, and I do like the miracle of birth. Cheaper to get an abortion.
Very much so.
Like,
It's not the big. It's not like morally cheaper, but like
and
or
Ben's
ethically cheaper. But it's for sure monetarily cheaper.
in more ways than one. You're saving in the long run. Think about that. You don't gotta worry about the kid.
Costs like what is it like upwards of $500K to raise a kid for 18 years?
Something like that. I say this. I think
Heard
it's
that
more than
before.
that. I think it's more than that.
I've heard that before.
It's like $1 million. It's like closer to, I think, to that, depending. I guess if you're like bare minimum, maybe like 500. Like that's median. You gotta think if like
You say bare minimum, but like that's kind of like how it is for the majority of people on Earth.
that's what I'm saying. I guess a median,
Like I
but
have to raise a child. Can I possibly do? What do I have to do to make sure this child is?
this is
raised?
what I'm saying though.
Not like, hey man, let's this kid's what, 2 years old. I have what, $100,000 in the bank total. Let me buy him a Rolls Royce. Fuck it, live large.
Oh
Like,
God.
what the fuck are you talking
Some
about?
no, I'm saying like you know if you enroll them
Say
in.
maybe on the lower level. Like what level are we talking about when it comes to raising children?
This is what I'm saying. It's like it probably gets more costly when you start enrolling them in like
schools and
activities or
shit.
like classes. You know, maybe you're doing like
every
private
one.
tutoring.
I mean, like what I'm saying is like to raise a kid is like to put food on the table, to ensure
Close.
education, to make sure that they have a father and mother in their life, do whatever it takes to make sure that they're healthy.
Well, I don't know about the father and mother thing, but like I think
mean-
raising a child's more so just like
I mean,
you
you want a child to have a father figure and a mother figure.
hopefully, yeah.
It's not necessarily necessary, like people have done without it, but it's ideal for.
Very much so.
But where I was going with that is like having your child go to a private school, something that raising a child as an expense, like that would be like, and you going like above and beyond the expenses of what it costs to raise a child. That'd be like a for like leisure almost.
What do you mean?
It's like an expenditure that's not necessary.
I think that is like leisure. Like it's like a. You're talking about like what's it's called whenever you like have that extra money. Like if you were to like
Yeah.
like organize your actual like
Right.
your funds and
What I'm
shit.
saying
Like,
is like
what the-
whenever you organize your funds, whenever it comes to raising a child, them going to a public school or you paying $10,000 for tuition for them to go to a private school is a choice. It's not like you saying I had to pay $10,000 for them to go to school. Like,
nah.
no, you chose to pay $10,000 for them. Keep it real.
Honestly, if I have a kid, I would put them in public school. But what I would do is like I'd probably have like a home tutor or something like after hour. I know that sucks, like but like
See-
a after hours to teach them because I feel like public school also builds character in a way.
Right, and I
But
mean,
then I wanna
like,
learn.
I've never been to a private school, so I can't say anything against it. I have been to a public school, and I can say a lot of things against it. So I mean, like where I'm standing is like if I don't have to send my kids to public school, do have that extra money on the. I'm not gonna throw it in somebody's face saying I needed to raise my child. You know what I mean? Like, can't say that. I chose. Hey, look, I'm gonna pay this extra education choice, but I made. I can't just go and say like go. I can't even go tell my kid like you know how much money I spent on your education. That was my choice. You know what I mean? Like people make that mistake too. Like you don't know what you're doing with my funds. Like how dare you? Just like maybe like you shouldn't have made this decision for me, sir. Like what are we doing here? Like
The-
making decisions for your children and then expecting your children to perform at your level of expectation so you got your money's worth.
Why'd you do it in the
Why'd
first?
you
what was
spend
the
this
real
much
reason?
money if that was not communicated to me, like as your child?
Like, do I get a say in this?
Like real shit. Like,
what's the-
oh, so you're just spending 10K without ever knowing how I'm gonna perform? Don't blame me when I don't. Fucking idiot.
Sounds like you need to go back to school. Like, we're getting on my
No,
ass.
but on a serious note, if I do have the extra money, I would send my kids to a private school or try to get them like homeschool to like private too.
That's what I would probably
Because
do.
like I mean, I know the education system I was taught in school. Most of that bullshit, not necessarily competitive, trying to teach obedience. End of the day, I was never obedient. So like, if you gonna do the same shit to my tell me all the way through schooling that I'm never gonna get away with this behavior in real life. Whenever that was just your projection of how your life went and why you ended up in the school teaching a subject you know nothing about.
We've said this before, but this is just a side note also, but we've said this before. It's just one thing that still gets me is like, why did we have English class so many years? I feel like we should have split it up to like a whole year of literature, a whole year of like public speaking, you know, learning to how to actually like vocalize and say what you want to say and organize your ideas. Like another year of maybe, I don't know, like grammar is important, but like more of like structuring how you want to say what you want to say, you know what I mean? Like someone did learn something in school. But anyways, like why do we have he said syntax, by the way, he's not in the mic, okay? But English like 1 through 4, why the fuck are we calling it English? I get it. We learn like half the people already learned English. If you're in English in high school, you know English. You know what I mean?
Right.
We should call it something else. Yeah, we did.
We talked about that. We said like, why is it called English class? It should be called like literacy class because you're literally learning how to be literate.
We weren't.
You're learning how to read things, write things, understand the complexities of reading and writing, and then learning how to actually like perform and produce some type of reading and writing. Literally, like becoming literate. So it should be called literacy class.
I feel like I would have loved that, like those classes so much more if my teachers didn't suck. They all sucked so much. But anyways, speaking of that, tying that kind of into what we were saying earlier too about like memes.
Poo poo pee pee poo poo.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you for that. Welcome back. When we were talking about like memes and like comedy, how that's like a form of comedy now, you know, it's kind of like an art of storytelling, you know, you put something together and
Right.
in a certain order. Some of it's just random. A lot of it's funny. Like you have shit posting now too, you know what I mean? Like shit post memes, which are, you know, pretty much there to get a rise out of people.
Right. Also, like, not just like, it's probably not more so shit posting, but like things that are posted to get a rise out of people are like articles on the Onion.
Oh yeah, no, I love the Onion.
It's like all fucking satire and shit. It's like you can be mad at me all you want, but I wrote this so that you'd be mad at me. So fuck you. Thank you for giving me what.
Satire, man, I love satire. Like it's my favorite form of comedy because it's like it's
Definitely fun.
is this real? No, but I'm gonna make you think it's real and then make you feel like an asshole.
You're welcome.
You're ha ha ha. Jokes on
Tune
you.
in next week on.
Right? But it's just crazy because it's like now that we have the internet, you know, like stand up comedy, like you said, used to be a big thing. You know, people get on stage, still is. I mean, I still love stand up comedy, but you have this other like another way to like tell a story, you know, and get like a lot laugh out of people. And I don't know if that's like good or bad. I can't say either way because I mean, if you laugh, right, that's the point.
I mean, it's not always a laugh that a comic is going for. It's almost like just a reaction. I just want you. You don't have to laugh. You don't have to like me. You don't have to be funny to you. But entertaining you, that's all that matters.
And I think what people don't like, everyone when they think of stand up comedy, I mean, you do have a lot of punchline artists, right? But I mean, of course, it's the setup. Like I was talking to you earlier about like Anthony Jeselnik, big punchline, but like he knows how to hold out. You know what I mean? Like his setup.
Mm-hmm. His timing is impeccable.
Like he sets it up perfectly, and then like that delivery every time is just he nails it. But like, what makes a good comic, what separates them from a mediocre one is their storytelling, their organization. You know what I mean? Able to like keep you entertained while telling a story. Because someone could tell you a story regularly, and you can get bored. You know what I mean? You're like, I don't want to hear this shit.
Right.
It's like, how do you keep someone entertained by telling them a story of this mundane, boring shit that we all go through every day? Because, like, half the shit most of them say, I mean, some of it is outlandish and, you know, like something that probably doesn't happen often. But, like, most of that shit is, like, stuff that happens every day.
Right.
It's like your normal fucking everyday life. And, I mean, which, of course, oh, yeah, making it relatable, too, to some people. Not all of it has to be relatable, but, like, you know, the audience wants to be like, ha ha, you know, I get that.
Right.
I mean, that's it, I guess.
You definitely want to be able to relate with the person person on stage if you're an audience.
I just think that's cool. That is cool though. It's like this, the aspect of what like that comedy is, like going to like a different art form and just like looking at a picture, and it being like what the fuck. Like if you were an adult, I mean we are adults, but I mean like a real adult. Like first of all,
Make your point before you
Okay.
disrespect us any further.
and if you're like in your 60s, there we go. How about that? Older,
If you're an elder,
elderly adult. There we
I
go.
wasn't gonna say elderly. Older.
I mean, what's the difference?
A wise man once said.
If you're an elder, are you not elderly?
Not necessarily.
I don't know. That doesn't make sense. Anyways, and you saw a meme, you'd be like, "The hell is this?" Yo, my grandma. This is kind of random, but it just kind of like makes me think of that. My grandma was on Facebook, right? You know how you have those like tap to play games?
Yes.
Like you click it, some random game, right? The game's called Thug Life.
Hell
and
yeah. I
for
played
s-
that before on Facebook when I was a kid.
For some reason, my grandma like tagged me. She was like, "I don't play games like this too much 'cause they're violent," but like, and then like tagged me, and it was like about a different post in her messenger. I was like, "What does this mean?"
Could have been spam.
No,
Was she actually sent
she
it?
did. It was her. So I said, and then it was funny because like her relatives, her older relatives in there were like, "Yeah, sounds about right for a kid these days." Like something to do with the. I was like, "You don't even know me." I was like, first of all, I don't even know what the fuck's going on here.
So
It's
I don't
like-
know how my grandma found this game, why she tagged me, why you think this is perfect for me, or why I have entertained this at all today. But I just want to get to the bottom of it because this is ridiculousness
Nah,
all around.
my opinion, what I was thinking, what was running through my head was like, I don't know what's going on, but more importantly, fuck you. Who are you? I don't care if you are her relative. Fuck you. I don't even know what the fuck's going on. I'm trying to figure this out for myself because I even replied. I was like, "What does this mean?" And then her reply still made no sense, so I just gave up. I was like, I don't know what's going on. But where I was going with that is that older people's disconnect with anything that's going on majority of the time is just hilarious.
Outstanding.
It's like if they were to see a SpongeBob meme, you know how it goes usually like, what does that mean? Like, who's texting you? It's like,
Right.
You know, like what do you mean?
Like, what does it matter?
It's just like it's just a random picture. Yeah, but why? It's like, look, it doesn't, you don't need a rhyme or reason.
My mom does that to me all the time. Like, she'll ask me, like, who I'm talking to on my phone, and I'm like, what? Like, does it matter? And she's like, why is everything a secret? I'm like, what? How did we get here? Like, I'm not telling you about a fucking irrelevant conversation that I'm having right now through a telephone, and because of that, I'm keeping secrets. Like, usually it's like, nah, I don't got rent yet. Can we pay Friday? Or nah, I'm not really feeling macaroni tonight. How about some chicken? And you want me to tell you about this conversation? Like, what's going on? Like, am I really keeping secrets, or am I saving you from like a mundane bullshit that you have no business knowing?
See, you say that, but what's worse is when you're on Twitter and you like on a profile reading a tweet,
Oh,
and then you're
yeah.
just like, "Who is that?" I don't know.
Or like,
There's so many. You think I know everyone on the internet?
for me, it's like whenever I'm like at dinner with my brother and like one of my parents, I'll show him something that he'll relate to and like think is funny, and they'll want to see it. In my head, I'm like, I can show you. You're not gonna laugh. You go. All I know is like me showing you this is inviting the question of what does that mean, or what is that,
Or just
or,
killing the whole
I
vibe.
don't get it. I was like, it's not even killing the vibe. It's just like I don't want to explain it. It's like the reason I showed it to him is because he got it, he laughed at it, or he was like interested in it. If I show it to you, I have to make this a story, and it's becoming a topic of conversation, and that's a whole thing that I didn't really want out of this. Like,
Yeah.
type shit.
Example would be like when you sent me that tweet last night about Chris D'Elia. Well, because we were talking about.
We were talking yesterday about fucking Chris D'Elia and like the kind of the scandal that came out, and he was telling me about, hey, he's like, he came into my room, he's like, hey, did you see that Chris D'Elia like came out with like an apology like What were you?
Basically, he made a whole video stating like what happened, why he went through what he went through. He's like going through therapy or some shit like that, like how he hurt a lot of people. And essentially, he thought what he was doing was the right thing, but everything was consensual and it was legal. But how he did like fuck up, so to speak, because he didn't treat these people with the respect maybe that they deserved.
Yeah,
but he
said,
thought
was
like being
treating women like objects.
yeah.
Something like that.
But he thought that like being straightforward was like the best way to do it. Like, hey, come have sex. You know, like he's like, I'm not beating around the bush. I'm not trying to play you. It's just
Right.
like he's like, I'm letting you know what I want, and if you don't, that's cool. If so, awesome. He's like, I may have hurt a lot of people in the process, but I'm sorry. So I was like, okay. And then I was reading the comments. A lot of people were like, I think it's about time we forgive this guy. You know, like
an
some,
episode of Rick
yeah,
and
yeah.
Morty.
It's just like
I
on
think
some.
it's just about time we're ready to forgive him.
So I was like, for real? I was like, for real? But I was like, I mean, I guess, whatever. I was like, I don't know. I was like, it's a little touchy. And then,
immediately, as soon as I go on Twitter last night, one of the things trending is Crystalia facing new allegations and court case type shit.
court case for pedophilia.
Pedophilia and it was something else too.
But like, once again, that
sexual
one,
misconduct.
he's arguing it. I'm not saying it's right 'cause it's not, but I think the whole thing is too, like, if she's like they're like saying if she was like 17 in like 10 months, you know, it's arguable 'cause in most states that is still legal, and it depends. I mean, it's not right. Regardless, even if she's 18, it's still weird.
See, but even even making that distinction.
But that's
She's like, it's 2 months, bro. Fucking, like, you really gonna put me in jail over 2 months? Like, dude, why are you letting it get that close? Like, why are you cutting it that close, my G?
if it saves him jail time, I'm sure he does not care.
No, I mean, like, in his actions.
Like beforehand.
In his actions, like, you're cutting it so... months fucking cool with me. Type shit. It's like, whoa. Even if, like... And so, like, I get the situation, like, where maybe she told him he was 18 in that moment. He didn't know, but it's still like, bro, you gotta understand putting yourself whenever you are talking to pretty much like either fans or like just girls that you're meeting at shows.
Show me some ID.
What, bro?
Identification.
Real shit. Like, and I feel like that's not even like that far fetched. Whenever you're like a celebrity, like you should be taking care of your brand, right, at every moment. And I feel like it's not even that, like, it may be a vibe kill, but it's not like really weird. Like, if you into me, let me protect myself. Can I see some identification real quick?
It's like that episode.
You show me a fake ID. I mean, like, don't get me wrong. I feel like I'm not like ID police, so I feel like, but like at the end of the day, like if you show me some identification, I feel like that's not that weird of an interaction if you were interested in me to begin with.
It's not that big. It's like I was gonna say, Blue Mountain State, the episode where Alex Moran, he just became like the head quarterback of the football team. He's about to go have sex.
Yeah.
Dad comes up, he's like, "Can I see the condom you're about to put on my quarterback's penis?" And then like grabs it and fills it with water, and there's just a bunch of holes in it, so the
Yeah.
water's just leaking. He's like, "Nah, leave." And he's like, "Oh my," Alex like, "Oh my God." He's like, "There's a lot of people basically like telling me there's a
Yeah.
lot of people who are gonna want to like get pregnant with your baby. You're the head quarterback now."
Right. And I'm not saying necessarily like that it was like somebody like going after him.
Oh,
I'm saying
no.
it's like he wasn't even trying to protect himself.
No, that's what I'm saying is like you got to at least do that like
You gotta
check.
check the condoms, my friend.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Can I see some ID? And then be like, this looks fake. I don't know. You get another one? I was like, if
Real
it, or if
shit.
it's sketchy, like, nah, I'm good tonight. It's not that important.
You should be able to, like, as an adult, you should be able to understand when you are looking and talking to a child.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you're his age.
You know what I
You,
mean?
especially if you're in your 30s.
I mean, at any age, it's like whenever you're talking to somebody, like children are noticeable through their movements, through their actions, through their conversations, through their mannerisms. Like, it's just like, bro, you have no experience in the adult world. I can tell. You know what I mean? Like you are in high school right now. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, what is going on?
Like, there's no way they fooled you that much. Like, they were
That's
so.
what I'm saying. Like, you're either the dumbest person, have zero availability to like notice a person's actions. Which, if you're a world-renowned comedian, that makes no sense. It's literally your job is to be smart and know how to notice people's reactions and actions. It's like literally your job to manipulate those things.
I mean, but if he was a pedophile, I mean, they do say, like, a lot of people who groom, like, younger girls and stuff like that, they usually are the type of people to be like, you're a lot, you're mature for your age, or you're a lot smarter than all these other girls. Like they
Right.
play into that and like try to make them feel like they're like
Right, but that's what I'm
older.
saying.
But it's
Is
like so even in
if
that case,
if you plead innocence, then you can't you can't be saying shit like you can't be pleading innocence. Also, be that guy.
Yeah, no, but I mean, he's gonna try.
That's
So
what I'm
that's
saying.
where in my head, like whenever thinking of that, though, he's probably guilty for sure.
That's what I'm trying to say. It's like
He's for sure like,
MIC time, but
he-
who knows? Money.
he'll probably
money
get out of
talks.
it. He'll probably get out of
Money
it.
talks.
But his career's dead. I don't see him. I don't see
That's
him
for
making a
sure.
comeback. At first, I was like, okay, he made that, and then you sent me that. I was like, he's done. Court case, it's over. He's not
Congratulations.
coming back. He's shunned. No one else is gonna be like welcoming him back. Seems like even his friends in comedy, maybe like if he made friends in comedy, like I can't.
Be
Like,
seen with you.
sorry, it's no hard
Like,
feelings.
I'm not saying like his life is over, but I mean like
career
he
is.
should see jail time. Should he probably won't because of like I said, money talks. But and it like I'm not saying he has the most amount of money, but like this whole like it didn't make a dent tour kind of tells me he ain't going dent tour. But congratulations. I mean, his career is dead for sure.
Yeah, no, 100%. It's crazy. We don't like realize how much like what like. I mean, we should realize how much the things we do make a difference, but it's weird. You get caught up in the moment, and it's like the worst part is because he, like you were saying, he is like orator. I think that's the word we were looking for. The orator.
Don't think so.
I think that's it.
You said oralist. I said I don't know what I said. I said it's definitely not oralist.
I think it's orator. I think that's
I've
it.
never heard that before.
I
I'll look it up. while
Look
you
it up
keep
real quick.
talking.
I think it's orator, but he's really good at talking. As a comedian, you specialize in being able to like use your words, right?
Public speaker, especially one who is eloquent or skilled.
There we go.
You're good. You
Ding,
found
ding,
it.
ding, ding, ding. Orator. But being an orator, you basically have skills, and it's like you can use them for good or you can use them for bad. Now, extreme example that everyone always says is Hitler. Like, of course, but like, it's crazy. We don't place like, words are so important, and yet we don't like put enough emphasis on like how important like
Yeah, I
like
mean,
what we say is, because it's like
it's not
him
just the
being that
words,
good.
though,
It's
'cause
like
it's not just the words though, because it's like you also have to like cases. So for like a person like Hitler, it wasn't just the words; it was mostly the words time because like basically the way that he swayed these wasn't because he was saying all the right things to the people that needed to hear it type shit.
Yeah.
And then those people created a people with their people, and they all said like, "Yo, this man, you got to come here and talk," type shit. Not like he was saying anything so outside the box. It's just saying the right things at the right time.
I mean, that's I think part of being a good orator. That's like, I mean, think about a stand-up comedian. That's what it is. And then if you're dealing with younger girls, it's like if you're a weirdo, it's like you know what you're like. Come on, that's where it's like you did it.
Right.
You did it. Like you were set up. You were saying the right things at the right time to get what you wanted. You know what I mean?
Right.
But that's what I'm saying is like in those situations, it's crazy because it's being someone who's so good at words. You is knowing what to say, when to say it. And the craziest thing is a lot of us don't even pay attention to that. Like think about how better most of your conversations would be if people actually paid attention to like. Because if you listen to the other person, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You'd have a better probably understanding of what to say and when to say it. But if you're not even paying attention, you're just trying to say what you want to say, you're just like, you're going to say some shit that's like, more than likely say some shit that doesn't matter in the conversation.
Right, but that's also like I don't know because I feel like we've lost the idea of a conversation. Not like we don't pay attention to words; it's that we just pay attention to our own so much that others people's words don't exist. So therefore, conversation can't. It's like not that we don't. What I'm trying to say is not that we don't pay attention to words; it's just we don't pay attention to the ones that we don't like. In the way that a Trump supporter knows what they're believing in, knows why they're doing it, but can't explain because it doesn't make sense to you.
That's true.
Makes sense to their people, though. It makes sense to the people that support their beliefs. It makes sense to people that are on the same side as them. But to you, because all of the shit that they believe in is wrong, it doesn't make any sense to you. You can't even have a conversation with them because the entire time they're going to be telling you their beliefs. There's this, there's that. The entire time you could like pay attention to them. You could be present in the conversation, but it's not going to make any sense to you. You're not going to know what to do with that information. You could try to say like this or that. You could try to dive into like why they feel that way, but at the end of the day, you're not gonna like if you already don't agree with them. It like nothing they say morally is gonna change your mind. So at the end of the day, it's like, did a conversation exist in that moment, or did somebody just kind of spit out their opinions and their beliefs, and somebody else just not agree with it?
I think personally, I mean, for sure, it's probably the second one of what you just said is like spitting it out and just like wanting to get your opinion off, regardless of what the other person thinks. But I think nowadays we've shifted from like, it's weird because, as close as we are, everyone always says it, as close as we are, like on the internet, being so connected to everybody. I think nowadays we've shifted from like connections between each other, like listening to each other and trying to understand. Like it's more so now we kind of try to get that like sense of connectedness through like art forms. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
through like people's art, like as in like drawings, paintings, music, like even stand up comedy, podcasts. Because you want to like that's where you kind of get people. From those you're getting people's experiences. You're hearing these people tell these stories rather than hey, let me get to know you. What's your story? I'll hear it from you directly. Instead, now that we do have the internet, I think we were talking about this the not that long ago, but it's just like we're getting our stories and getting like our sense of like connect
Right.
because we all want like to feel like
We're understood.
we're
And
understood.
The biggest part,
Yeah.
the biggest thing is that through our words, we're so misunderstood. I think that art is really the last lifeline of our free form expression of who we are, of what we believe in, what we can be, should be, want to be. So difficult to speak on that. So difficult for you to even when someone asks you like, "What is your plan for 10 years?" You could be thinking about it every day. Still, at the back of your mind, be like, I really don't know. That could change
All the time.
tomorrow. So it's like for that like expression of your plans and your thoughts and yourself to be so misunderstood for yourself, so like I don't even know, I haven't decided yet or like whatever it is. It's so difficult for us to express to others and have them understand us. I feel like art is one of the last ways. Is like even if you don't understand me, you understand this. That's all that I.
Like a great example. Well, I'll give a couple examples here. I mean, none of these are going to be like probably like they're not examples in the sense of like these happen, but it's like situations that happen all the time. It's like think of like people who grow up in like low income neighborhoods, right? All they have is like one movie, let's say, or like you have a couple movies, so you watch those all the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those kind of help shape like who you are. You know what I mean? Because it's like you have something like let's say it's a Superman movie. You know what I mean? Like you look at the hero
Mm-hmm.
in that when you're a kid.
Right.
You look at that and you're like, that's like when people were saying like when Black Panther came out, like a lot of people of color were like, you look at that as a young one, you know what I mean? It's something to relate to
right,
now. It's something like you could feel like you're understood, like
Mm-hmm.
you're capable of accomplishing anything. Or like let's say it's a tape of like musicians, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like what could lead you to want to be like you see like the emotion, like you feel that with everything else going on in your life, like that's the one thing like you can relate to because that's
Right.
all you have.
And see, and like even further than that, if it's like a classic album or a painting that's been not only are you allowing people to understand you through art, but that's timeless. It's like it's not just the people around you. It's not just the people that are alive while you are. There's albums by Michael Jackson that will be played throughout history. That man is no longer breathing.
It's true. I'll
There
take
are albums by Marvin Gaye that will be played throughout history. There are albums by plenty of artists. There are paintings by what's this Picasso, by fucking what's his name?
Michelangelo.
Michelangelo, Da Vinci. There's
Da Vinci,
paintings
yeah.
that are gonna like be known throughout history. There's fucking compositions by Beethoven, fucking Bach and people like that are going to be known throughout history. It's like those people created a form of art that helped others understand where they come from, who they are, what they are in their soul, not just to the people that were in their like lifetime, people beyond their lifetime type shit.
I'll take it in a different perspective too. It's like when you look at people like Little Uzi too, he said like he basically saw.
Two?
No, when you look at Little Uzi, also.
Okay,
Nah.
okay. I was like, who the fuck is that? Is this some new person I haven't
Lil,
heard of?
Lil Uzi too, new guy. Nah,
Is
but
this
look,
like his son or something.
say he saw someone rapping, he got all the girls. He's like, I want the attention too. Started rapping. You know what I mean? It's like you want that feeling of like he has, like people that like giving him attention. I want to have that too. You know what I mean? It
Mhm.
brings you closer to people. It's crazy. It's like
Right.
you don't even know why. It's like, why does this music bring me money, fame, women? You know what I mean? It's like, 'cause it's, well, of course, the popularity. It's like the things that come with like being popular, but it's like, why are you popular in the first place?
Mhm.
'Cause you're giving people something that they can feel.
Right.
And when you make people feel a certain type of way, then you basically have them by the balls. I mean, so to speak, as an example.
Right. And it's not even like just like it doesn't even have to be like a certain feeling. It could just, like I said before, all you have to necessarily do is just enact a reaction out of it to be remembered, to be immortalized. Like we're talking about Hitler today too. You know what I mean? It's not like he deserves to be talked about, but we have to understand our history so that we don't repeat it. But at the same time, there's people that should be talked about that aren't talked about. You know what I mean? Because maybe they weren't fortunate enough to create art that has them be remembered. People that have set the stone for us to be who we are today that we don't even know their names.
And on that note, also, I think it's like in the art of like storytelling, right? It doesn't always have to be like some big in depth. You know what I mean? Like, it could be just something simple, like straight to the point. Like if you ever see like poems that are just like a few words, like direct. It doesn't always have to be like this big story. Like, you know how people always love lyricism, like when they think of rap, like old school rap. Not everything has to be this big drawn out picture. You know what I mean?
Right.
It could be something simple. And I think we've kind of lost like that in a way. And like you're saying, there's some people who get, like that didn't get the notice, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think there's people out there that don't even care about the notice. It's just like sometimes those campfire
Right.
stories keep us alive too, you
And
know?
see, I didn't necessarily mean like notoriety. I more so meant like credit, and it's not like they needed it. More so that they deserve it, and other people
That's
are getting
also-
it for them.
That's true.
Because they weren't remembered,
Ah,
because
okay.
they weren't immortalized. Like it's like kind of the idea. And it's not an exact like analogy, but it's kind of the idea of, like I said before, like there's every NBA player in the world, every basketball player in the world knows at least a handful of guys that were better than them at basketball.
Yeah.
They couldn't hold ever, but because of the system, because of fucking growing up in a bad neighborhood, getting involved in drugs, because of fucking going to jail, because of having kids and all this other stuff, their hoop dreams got put to rest, and the world will never know the legends of basketball through their eyes. You know what I mean? We only get to see their underlings, the people that notice their game and study their game every day, and we get to see them perform at the highest level. But at the end of the day, these people that kind of set the stones for some of these people will never be like remembered unless those people like recognize them. Like I still remember. I feel like I think it was Kareem Abdul-Jabbar said that the best player he ever played basketball with, Earl the Pearl, I forgot his last name, but he was a street baller. He never played in the NBA. There was Earl the Pearl in the NBA, but I don't think he was the same person, because that was Earl the Pearl Monroe. Talking about a different dude. But it was a street baller from New York. That the best player he ever played with never got paid a dime to play basketball.
It happens like that sometimes. It's
So like that's what I'm saying is like in situations where you talk about art, it's like there's people that were inspirations to some of the greatest like musicians of all time that we'll never hear the names of. It's not like those people need the credit; it's that they deserve it.
100%. And I think along the way, it's, especially now with technology like shooting to the heights that it is. I think, of course, you do need the, like the people that create the foundation of our society. People like plumbers, farmers, freaking like STEM people, science, technology, engineering, like engineers, civil engineers, mechanics. Like those people, they're the backbone of like any community, any society.
Time I hear that, I think of like a politician. This is the
Backbone
backbone of the
our-
United States of America.
But they are of like any community. You need those people. Like
sure,
they're the handymen. You need them. But I think art takes helps you kind of not just escape, but like engulf yourself in like who you are for a moment to like kind of take a step back and like remember who you are, or
Right.
like remember what the world can be. It's like that comfort show you have, or that like maybe a movie you've seen 1,000 times, but you watch it every time because it reminds you of a certain time when you were a child. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like I always go back to storytelling because even in like a sport, you know what I'm saying? Whether you're on the court, you're on the field, you're kind of creating a story. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
You're any entertainment, you're putting on a show.
Right.
Regardless, even if you're not. Like right now, we're putting on a show. Like any comedian, any podcaster, any musician. In a
Production.
sense, when you're putting yourself in that art, like whenever you're engulfed in it, I mean, you're not always doing it for entertainment purposes. You might be doing it for yourself, like for you to kind of like be engulfed in yourself for that moment.
Right.
But like, regardless of that fact, you're telling a story. Even one of the biggest examples I love to use is like cooking, right? It's like if you even like dishes that are made every day, you can go to a fast food restaurant, right? Boom. You think about like a hamburger, like a McDouble, right? But you trace back to when the hamburger was first made. You know what I mean? What's the story of like who made that? How did it get made? Any great chef, like Chef Ramsay, right? He can tell you kind of the history of a lot of dishes because you need to know like how they're used, where they're used, and like how to put these things together. And you're telling a story on the plate. You know what I mean? With
Right.
these ingredients, with these flavors. Like when you eat it, what do you think of?
Right.
It's like when you think of like like let's say like a slow roasted like roast beef or something, like a stew.
Mhm.
It's like raining out. Some people, it's like raining outside. It's a cold day, like a beef stew. You know what I mean? Comfort food.
Right.
Spaghetti and meatballs, classic. But it's like you think of your mom.
Right.
It's
Makes
like,
you think of home. Or
you know what I
something
mean?
that,
It's like
yeah.
you're telling a story almost, and it's like you can date back on some of those. It's like it's just food, but even in the simplest dishes, like where did those come from? Someone made that, and it's like in that moment, like whoever was like that chef who created that like idea, like that came from somewhere within them. Like they have a story of like when they were a child, and like growing up, they may have had these dishes, and they were like, what can I? You know what I mean? Like this might be good. Or like they had a childhood where it was like they ate this one thing every single day, so that's their favorite ingredient. Let me try it in this, boom, and then your favorite dish is born. It's crazy to think like how all these like simple things, like you think of Kobe, right? Like what made him great? You know what I mean? Like there's a story in that.
Work ethic.
Yeah, his work ethic, but like there's like what was the first thing he saw? Like what made him want to ball?
Father playing basketball. But
Exactly. I mean, but
right, I get what you're saying.
like.
But yes, I understand. I agree.
And then he brings that to the court. You see him balling, and then now someone else is looking at that, and then it's like he's creating this bigger picture
Right.
for everyone who wants to ball now
Picture.
of beer.
We're here.
Yeah,
Cheers.
it's just like I feel like we undervalue like the essence of who we are and the stories that we have to tell, the stories of who we are, and it's like we underplay who we are as people. We underplay the impact that we can have. Like even us just doing this podcast, it seems so small. Could be something bigger. It may not be.
It's up to you. No.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
But on that note, we gotta come to a close because me and Daniel are both gonna be late to work.
I heard that. But yeah, don't underplay your impact. We all have stories, whether or not you think it's big or not, and that could play into something else, whatever your dream may be. You may want to be a plumber, and that's great too, and honestly, I commend it. So remember, you're important. Share your stories with people. Connect with people. Bring yourself together, all that good stuff. Love each other.
Wipe your poopy butthole.
All right, this is us signing off. Thank you for tuning in.
Later, dudes.